Hello and welcome to a Super Bowl edition of Establish the Bets. My name is Adam Levitan. As always, I am joined by King NFL sharp Matthew Davidow for a bittersweet show. It is the Super Bowl, always a great time, a true American holiday, but also it is the final Establish the Bets of the season. Sad times. Thanks to Matt for doing this show every week all season. He wasn't compensated for this, just out of the goodness of his heart. He wants to hang out, share the knowledge. So thank you, Matt, for doing this all year. Happy Super Bowl. How's it going?
Thanks. This is great. I mean, it's been a lot of fun, and I've learned a lot.
Good, good, good. Before we get into it here, one quick reminder. If you like to bet sports, you should be grinding for the best line every single time you make a bet. It's an absolute must. If you read Matt's book, which you can find, I'm sure, on Amazon and everywhere else, search his name or Ed Miller's name, you'll find it. You'll understand how much a half point means, how much getting minus 110 instead of minus 120 means. And so you need money on a lot of different books. The good news is they'll literally pay you to sign up for a lot of these books. Head to the props and betting tab on establishedrun.com. You'll find a link there for sportsbook offers by state, get the best line, and get paid to sign up. All right, Super Bowl. Well, let's start with the line itself. We were actually out in Vegas when the conference championship games ended. And as soon as that Chiefs-Bengals game ended, I think Circa was the first ones up, and they posted Chiefs minus 2.5. I mean, apparently that was not the right line, as an absolute avalanche of money comes in on the Eagles to the point where at one point, maybe 24 hours later, I saw Eagles minus 2. Maybe there was even Eagles minus 2.5 out there. What do you think of the opener and the subsequent line move? And I guess maybe you could explain to people why, like, Circa wants to be first one up or whatever, why rush to put a line out right after the game?
Well, I mean, the first thing I'll say, I mean, look at the line right now; it's 1.5. Toward the Chiefs. I mean, to the Eagles, and compare that to the opener of 2.5 the other way. The line only moved 7%. Now that is a lot for the Super Bowl. I agree. We can talk about what makes this one different, unique, and maybe what happened there. I wasn't privy to why they opened 2.5, but I know what I was thinking, which I'll get to in a second. But the one thing that Circa's a book that they take fair limits. They take limits from everybody, but at the same time, you're laying 110. And to beat 110, you've got to be right 52.5% of the time. That's just to break even, more or less. So this move, while plus 2.5 was definitely a good bet, it wasn't that good of a bet. Only one person got it, I'm sure. And this kind of goes toward what you were saying as far as like why open first, like almost like why not? Like they probably could have waited 10 more minutes. It probably would have been fine. It's not like they're getting pressed. I mean, heck, we're talking about them right now because they opened at 2.5. Yeah. So they took one bet at plus 2.5 minus 10. Let's just say for 10,000. I don't know what the limit was. I'm just going to guess. So that bet probably cost in the neighborhood. And I mean, so this could even, I think this will close a little bit more toward the Chiefs than where it is now. So it probably only cost them $800 tops. Yeah. So, tops, and it might be less. So if you think about how much good free roll, $800 with publicity they got, you're talking about it now, then I think that's basically the reason why.
Okay. I would say they have sharp guys there, obviously. Why do you think they open Chiefs 2.5? Because it seems obviously the market didn't agree.
I mean, it's like one or two guys putting their finger in the air. Like, I mean, you're using old school. I mean, it is. I mean, that's how I would do it. There's not a lot, because the first bet is that you take and you move the number. It's not costing that much. You would pay more for like a really strong analytics into an opening number than you do by simply putting the number up, taking the bet, and moving it when somebody makes a bet.
Yep. Okay. So what did you make the opener? Or if you put your finger in the air, or when you say put your finger in the air, obviously there's models running, and then from there you kind of adjust, I guess, based on what you think. What would you have made the opener? And when you make an opener for something as big as the Super Bowl, do you have to worry about where the public is going to be more than you would opening a regular season game?
I guess, again, as soon as you take one bet, your opener is like more or less out the window.
Yeah.
Let the mark. So I don't think it matters much. Is kind of my point. And why was it open Chiefs 2.5? I'm sure it had to do with, this is a weird situation because Mahomes, the quality of his ankle is everything toward this line. Like if he's hobbling around Tannehill style, Eagles 3 is probably good or even higher. And if he was 100%, the Chiefs would definitely be favored in this game. I actually thought watching the first quarter and watching him look good, I typed, and I was being a little bit facetious, but I typed to a friend in the industry, Chiefs 3. Like I thought if the Chiefs rolled them, they could have opened. They were going to open at least 2.5 and could have easily gotten to 3 quickly. That was what I thought. Mm-hmm. So I was with the circuit. Now, by the end of that game, there was a different story. You had 3/4 of the Chiefs not looking that good. What would I have opened it? Pick Chiefs 1, I think. I think I was, but I get why the Philadelphia money's come, and I make this game with my best Mahomes guess about pick, maybe slightly toward Eagles, but I really don't know about Mahomes, so I'm really just completely guessing on that.
So I guess my thought is that the Eagles from both sides, in other words, public and sharp. I understand why the public wants to be on the Eagles. The Chiefs barely got by the Bengals. You can make a case that the Bengals had really good chance to win that game, maybe outplayed them in that game. Chiefs are obviously very banged up. Chiefs have, I think, less talent across the board, not by a huge margin, but less talent across the board outside of the quarterback position. Meanwhile, Eagles blew out the Giants. Eagles blew out the 49ers. Those weren't very impressive. They blew out a Giants team with like no talent, and they blew out a 49ers team that was down to their, second, third, fourth string quarterbacks effectively. That said, I just think the Eagles are better at every unit. I mean, defensive line, offensive line, cornerback play, wide receiver play. I mean, almost everywhere except for quarterback, and not by a huge margin, but just a little. They're a little bit better at every unit, in my opinion, than the Chiefs are. And so I'm surprised that people are kind of leaning into Chiefs stuff more, but I get it because you have Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL. So you said you thought it would close closer to the Chiefs. I assume you think it's going to close closer to a pick or Eagles -1 or something like that. Any opinion on where the line goes from here and why?
I think game day money would be on the Chiefs due to the Mahomes factor. I think most people waking up to bet Sunday morning, especially if they haven't really decided, like think about it like an election, and then you go to actually hit the button, and when you're not sure what to do, like this is my opinion on human behavior. If you're not sure what to do, and you must make a decision at a certain time, you tend to gravitate to just whatever is the most important part of that decision to you. And here it's hard for me to think that anyone's going to be like on the edge of this game. Who do I bet, more or less, and then not come up with the NFL MVP quarterback versus the. I mean, I've been a Hurts fan since the beginning. I think he has a ton of possibility to get better, but right now he's a running back that can throw.
No, take it easy. Take it easy with the hot quarterback takes. We'll see here. I like Jalen Hurts more than Davidow. I just think that they've set him up for success where he doesn't have to be the best quarterback in the NFL to win this game. He has one of the best offensive lines, if not the best. He has incredible wide receiver core and a really good run game. I think they just set him up really well for success here. And whereas Mahomes is kind of like pushing the rock uphill, which is fine. He's been doing it all year. He had an unbelievable year. But yeah. Anyways.
Didn't you just make the argument that Hurts is not that good? I mean, considering
that's fine, but
I obviously agree. They said, they set him up to succeed. I think they're a great offense, and he's a good fit in the offense.
Yeah. I just mean that it doesn't matter. Like Mahomes being so much better than Hurts doesn't necessarily matter as much. I mean, I don't know. Let's go to the total. Seen a lot of sharp people on the over. Here's my take, and I don't know if they're actually sharp or not. And people that I perceive to be sharp, I have no idea if they're actually winning or not. But a lot of people seem to be on the over in this game when it was at 50 and a half. My take is that we have seen the Eagles in so many blowouts all year, including in the playoffs. But if the game stays neutral in terms of score and the Eagles think that they can win in the pass game, they will be very aggressive. And we know the Chiefs are going to be among the most aggressive teams throwing in the entire league. Now, I know we've talked about it before, how you don't think that a throw-heavy game plan means more to the total. I just think that it gets you more plays and it increases the variance where you can have more big plays, which obviously leads to more points. So now we start to see some 51s out here. There's still 50 and a halves out there, but mostly a lot of 51s out there as well. What do you think of the total and any thoughts on why perceived sharps? I don't know if you think they actually are sharps or not, or seem to be on the over.
I think it comes down to what you said. expectation of more passing the game plan, which I do think makes the total higher. My general argument is that the being able to predict that game plan is the hard part.
Yep.
Not so much that obviously if they pass more, the more passes, the more better chance. Although, again, anymore, so many of what is a pass play is what they call like the short game, which is effectively a running play. So if you lump those plays, the quick screens, etc., into run plays, then you'd really have I think a difference. Both teams have shown willingness to throw down the field for sure. I mean, the Eagles want to throw the ball, and I think part of it is because every time they hand the ball off, the coach realizes that the running back is going to get tackled on the first time someone touches them, and therefore is like, well, man, maybe I shouldn't do that so much. And when this is not like he doesn't run with Hurts, but the handoffs have been only like when they have to. And I one interesting angle in this game, I was talking on the with the actual guy that knows the props, Rufus, on the process the other night, where I think the Eagles will not be looking to hand the ball off. I think if Hurts is not okay, they could end up passing a ton. Mm-hmm. And Hurts has been interesting. Early in the season, he was running like a running back. Like he was running until he got tackled, trying to make that last move, taking that last hit. The last 3 games, he's not done that. I think he slid more than the last 3 games. So he's probably slid the rest of the season goodbye by a decent bit. Like I saw, definitely looking to get out of bounds, looking to slide. The zone read doesn't. The keep in the zone read really goes downhill fast when your max gain is like 5 yards because your quarterback's going to slide.
Okay.
You need to be able to cut and rip that for 15 here and there. Or, what's the point?
Yeah, that's fair. Do you think that the money on the over is sharp? Was actually sharp, or
yeah,
I think
I
was just okay.
I think the money on the over was sharp. I made the total 51. I was kind of surprised at how high I made it, but so kind of made sense, especially anyone who's really looking at the data from before the blowouts too might have come up higher. And the Eagles, we know the Eagles want to pass. It's hard to want an under in an Eagles game where they're not like a big favorite.
Where do you think the total will close? We're at 50 and a half, 51 right now.
I would guess there.
Okay.
I don't think people are going to go over 51, only because every time it hits 51, we see 51's getting taken here and there. Certainly it's reduced. I think 51 and a half is probably somebody's under number for sure. I would be surprised if it really moves in either direction.
Okay. One thing interesting about the Super Bowl is like the public money can really get out of whack. And I know we talk about public money in regular season games, but it pales in comparison to the Super Bowl. And it's kind of similar stuff that we see in the World Cup, Floyd Mayweather fights, just like these hugely public things. Do you think that has any effect on the market more so than the regular season, or is that an overblown angle of Super Bowl betting?
I think the Super Bowl could be a huge opportunity. A couple that I remember, I think it's Seattle versus Denver, when Denver beat Seattle. And maybe the most obvious one to me was the Cam Newton Super Bowl. Carolina was like a 3-point favorite in that game, and that line should have been picked all day. It just everybody had Carolina. Honestly, I forget actually why, but that's the one that's always in my head, is like the easy one, like bet as much as your bankroll can afford on a, obviously widely available Super Bowl side. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's the case this year. I mean, heck, you made a comment, just on this show, you've hypothesized that the public will be on the Eagles. I said the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. The answer is, I don't think there's an obvious public side in this one. Right. Therefore, the line's going to be close to right, maybe move off. I don't think it'll move off Mahomes news, though, either. Like anybody with privy to that can't move this market. It's basically going to be move off people's guesses as to Mahomes, guesses to how good the Eagles actually are. Like you said, there's 2 blowouts. And, they were very questioned. The scoreboard did not reflect the play on the field in either of those games.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to a lot of these reports. It's crazy. I'm not sure these guys know how much power they have. Like Jay Glazer comes out with a report about the Travis Kelce back thing, and he moved entire markets massively. I don't know. So if somebody comes out, Jay Glazer comes out with something about Mahomes' ankle being 100%, or he's still hobbling, that could actually affect the Super Bowl line, which is absolutely insane. But it might.
Great point. Great point. Heck, on to Kelce. Is Kelce 100%? I don't know much about back. What does that mean? Is that something that just goes away a few days later?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it said he had spasms, and it seemed like he was fine, you know. So yeah, I think the 2 weeks off for the Super Bowl makes a big, big difference. And yeah, I mean, we're projecting most of these guys as fine. Tony, Juju, Mahomes, Kelsey. It's just hard to know. Right, is the bottom
Tony's
line.
pretty important. I mean, he's the one with actual skill after the catch, and that he's certainly shown that they want to get him the ball when he's healthy, but he
Yeah.
seems to get hurt every other play. The hawk down the sideline probably has his karma doomed.
Yeah, my favorite prop bet that I have is Kadarius Toney 10-1 to be the first Chief to catch a pass. I think that's down to 7-1 or so now, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
like that a lot too. I like
Okay. I know you're in the deep in the live betting market. So you guys don't know, one of the big things that Matt built or helped build at Deck Prism was this live betting model that is incredibly sophisticated. I've never really gotten into the live betting. I know it's very, very popular. I know that it's very, very popular in Europe. Super Bowl strikes me as a time people just want to like hang out and drink and party with their family and not live bet. Maybe I'm wrong though. What kind of action do you expect to see on live betting for the Super Bowl?
That's a great question, and we've been I've traded the this would be my second or third year. I lose track of time. Trade the Super Bowl at Pinnacle, which is generally the book that gets copied. Talk about possible influence as well. Of course, we go where the money goes. We're making the market much more than we are predicting a game. But I've definitely been surprised that the action isn't like that much more than, say, the championship games, or I mean, a good Sunday night game can, even early in the season, definitely can blow away the Super Bowl volume. And I think it's like you said. I think that people are much more interested in not doing. I mean, honestly, like, as much as I am excited to get to trade the worldwide live line of the Super Bowl this weekend, which I really am, as much as I'm excited to do that, that means that I mean, we've been invited to 3 Super Bowl parties. My kids would love it. My son wants to go to watch a Super Bowl somewhere. I mean, I'm sure he will, but the fact that I can't watch it with him and enjoy it with him is definitely a downside of this whole business. I can't go to a Super Bowl party. I'm going to be here literally trading the entire game.
Yep. Last thing I wanted to ask about was the props. The props are absolutely out of control. And it feels like every year, like, books are competing with each other. Like, I don't even know what they're competing for. I think they're competing just to offer the most. Like, who can say they have the most props out of any book in the entire world? I mean, it's insane. Like, we took a women's college basketball players points plus rebounds versus Jerick McKinnon receiving yards. I mean, it's absolutely insane what you can find out there. It's
That's
to the
awesome.
point, actually, on some of these apps, I can't even like go through them all because there's so many and they're like not organized cleanly. I don't even know like what's going on. I need like an assistant full time to look at all these props for me. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and they're all different across different books. I don't even know what I'm asking here. It's just so out of control on the props thing at this point. And there's some really, really soft numbers out there for a lot of different reasons. Some are public, some just like books don't know how to price, don't know how to price cross sport, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know, man. Any thoughts on what's going on in the props market for the Super Bowl? It's absolutely out of control these days.
I mean, from an anybody point of view, I think it's great. I think it's great for publicity for the industry. And I mean, one thing that I think we lose sight of when we look at the industry from a business point of view, we're always saying, why is this book doing X as opposed to another book, right? Like why are they opening first? Why do they? And I tend to look at it a lot like much less so, hey, how do we get a customer to jump from DraftKings to FanDuel or whatever? I think a lot of it is just about how do we make our customers happy? What do our customers want? What is going to make our customers give our customers a better betting, better recreational experience? And to me, it's the Super Bowl. Everyone's talking about it. Props. What a time to put some stuff up, especially when people might actually, bet on it. And the fact that, they're, giving guys like you, I mean, some of the places are, probably going to cut you off. I mean, for this, it's probably, they're probably looking at it more or less as a carnival game and aren't interested in action that's only going to take advantage of the beatable games. Some books probably shrug their shoulders and let it go. I mean, it's just everyone's personal, own book decision. But I think it's just fun. I mean, who doesn't want to bet on the women? That's a little little bit of an interesting one. And it's also interesting in that from a regulation standpoint, a lot of this stuff has to get like approved one by one by the state gaming offices. So there's also interesting. And then from a book standpoint, one of the things that, that's tricky right now with the industry, and I actually think needs solved in some way, is the expense of keeping a bunch of different states, properly, like make sure this is not up there, that's not up there. Oh wait, we can deal this problem in this state, but not in that state. Especially when, oh my God, when you make a mistake and accidentally have a lineup for any amount of time, here comes a giant fine. I think that's something overall it's hurting. I don't have an answer for it, but I mean, I know from the inside that's a big pain point for operators in the U.S.
Oh, for sure. And what Matt's referring to is like in New York, for example, you can't bet on the MVP. Like they have some weird rules where like you can't bet on stuff that's decided not on the field or whatever. So in New York, like there's no MVP market whatsoever. And yeah, obviously there's a logistical issue for the books doing all that. All right. We haven't done picks all year. I hate doing picks. I think, it's basically a coin flip. The market is pretty much efficient, but just for fun, Matt, if you had to bet, if I had to have a gun to your head and gave you $100 to bet, where would you put it on this game? Not a prop, the actual side.
No, yeah, I understand. Obviously, the props are there. I guess I bet the Chiefs. But you put me right to it, I'd be like, okay, what is the most important thing? The quarterback. Who's the best quarterback? I'm making the line, close to this anyway. If I had to bet it, I'd go Chiefs.
All right, I'm going with the public. Eagles and over, baby. Favorite and over. What could go wrong? Eagles and over. Why not? Appreciate you all being here all year for Establish the Bet. It's been fun talking to Matt every week about all this stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys learned something. And again, big thanks to Matt for doing it every week out of the goodness of his heart. Even that 1 week when Matt was in New Zealand, flies back 24 hours from New Zealand, and his first priority is to do the show. So got to give it up for Matt. Thank you all. Thank you to everyone. Be sure to follow Matt on Twitter at Davidow. Matthew, you can find me at Adam Levitan. For Matt, for producer Adam, I am Adam. Good luck at the Super Bowl.